Kamau lay in bed, tossing and turning under the weight of his dreams. The nights had become increasingly tormenting, plagued by visions of Nia transforming into a creature of darkness. Each night, he awoke drenched in sweat, his heart racing from the chilling images that haunted his slumber. One particularly restless night, the nightmare reached its peak. Kamau felt a sharp pain on his arm, jolting him awake. He opened his eyes to see Nia hovering over him, her features twisted into a grotesque mockery of the beauty he had once adored. Her eyes gleamed with a predatory hunger, and as she leaned closer, he felt her cold breath against his skin, sending shivers down his spine. "You belong to me, Kamau," she hissed, revealing fangs that dripped with venom. The very air around him seemed to thicken with malevolence as she poised to bite him. With a scream, he bolted upright, the chilling sensation of her breath still lingering on his skin. Kamau's heart raced as he grappled with the reality of his dreams. His love for Nia had become a curse, twisting into a nightmare that consumed him. He felt the weight of her deceit crushing him, the veil of her beauty torn away to reveal a creature of malice lurking beneath. The following day, as Kamau walked through the village, he could no longer ignore the signs of the devastation that surrounded him. The once thriving fields lay withered and desolate, and the livestock had begun to vanish mysteriously. The villagers whispered behind closed doors, their faces pale with fear and uncertainty. Families had turned against one another, suspicion spreading like wildfire. The rift between him and his own family had deepened into a chasm, fueled by Nia's malevolence. He had allowed her to poison his relationships, and now he was the pariah, shunned by those who once embraced him. As he trudged through the eerie silence, Kamau's anger boiled within him, mingling with a profound sense of grief for the life he had lost. He had married Nia despite the warnings, believing love could conquer all, but now he faced the bitter truth. The warmth of her embrace had turned cold, suffocating him with the reality of her deceit. How had he been so blind? Determined to confront the source of his suffering, Kamau resolved to find Nia. Each step was heavy with the burden of his choices, but he was resolute. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of red and purple, he prepared for the inevitable confrontation. With a sturdy stick in hand, a symbol of his defiance, he set off to face the woman who had brought darkness to his life. The village was eerily quiet as he approached the edge of the woods where he had first met Nia. Shadows danced among the trees, their shapes twisting into sinister forms as if the forest itself was conspiring against him. When he finally spotted her, she was slithering among the shadows, her form shifting between the beautiful woman he once loved and the monstrous serpent she had become. Her scales glistened in the moonlight, and her eyes burned with a primal rage. "Nia," he shouted, the name catching in his throat, filled with a mix of anger and sorrow. "What have you done? You've brought death and despair to our home." Her head snapped toward him, and a chilling smile spread across her face, one that no longer held any warmth. "You were a fool to think you could love me without consequence, Kamau. You were meant to be mine, to share in my darkness." Kamau's heart pounded in his chest, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. "You've ruined everything. The crops, the village, my family." He raised the stick, feeling the weight of his decision settle heavily upon him. "I will not let you hurt anyone else." With a flick of her tail, Nia lunged at him, transforming into a massive serpent, her fangs bared and ready to strike. Kamau barely had time to react, dodging her first attack as she barreled past him. "You cannot escape me," she hissed, her voice echoing with fury. In a desperate struggle, Kamau swung the stick at her, striking her side. The impact sent vibrations through his arms, but Nia recoiled only momentarily before recovering, her anger only growing more intense. They circled each other like predators, the forest around them a cacophony of snapping twigs and rustling leaves as the tension escalated. "You should have accepted your fate," Kamau, Nia taunted, her eyes glimmering with dark delight. "You cannot fight the inevitable. With each swing of the stick, Kamau felt the weight of all his choices pressing down on him. He had loved her once, but now, he was fighting for his life against the very darkness he had allowed into his heart. Each strike was filled with pain, the pain of betrayal, the loss of his dreams, the destruction of his home. As the battle raged on, Kamau realized he was not just fighting Nia, he was fighting the embodiment of his own naivety. He had turned a blind eye to her true nature, dismissing the warnings of his family and friends, believing that love could transcend even the darkest of souls. He felt the heat of anger coursing through his veins, fueling his determination to end this nightmare once and for all. Nia, feeling the shift in Kamau's resolve, lunged at him once more, coiling her serpentine body around him with the force of a raging storm. "You were never meant to escape me, Kamau. You were destined to serve in my shadow," she screeched, tightening her grip around him, her scales digging into his flesh. Kamau struggled against her hold, feeling the life being squeezed out of him. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, he realized the only way to escape this nightmare was to fight back with everything he had. With one swift motion, he drove the stick deep into her scales, feeling the impact of his actions ripple through both of them. Nia let out a deafening roar, the sound echoing through the night as the energy between them shifted. The forest seemed to come alive, the winds howling in response to their struggle. In that moment, they were both consumed by their anger and regret, the truth of their twisted love leading them to their doom. In a final desperate act, Kamau summoned all his strength and pushed against her, breaking free from her constricting embrace. But as he turned to flee, Nia lashed out, striking him with a ferocity born of betrayal. The pain was blinding, then Kamau stumbled, falling to his knees as blood pooled around him. Their final confrontation turned into a violent clash, two souls entwined in a tragic dance of vengeance. With every blow exchanged, Kamau and Nia revealed the depths of their shared pain, his love turned to hatred and her desperation to keep him close. As the dust settled, the village remained eerily quiet. In their final struggle, both Kamau and Nia had fallen, their bodies intertwined in the moonlight, a tragic end to a love that had spiraled into darkness. The forest, once alive with the sounds of their battle, fell silent, mourning the loss of what could have been. In the distance, the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, casting a gentle glow on the devastation left behind. The villagers would awaken to a new day, unaware of the horror that had unfolded, but the scars of the past would linger, a reminder of the beauty that could mask true evil and the love that could lead to destruction. This tale serves as a poignant reminder that love, when blind to the truth, can lead to devastating consequences. It teaches us the importance of vigilance and discernment in our relationships, urging us to recognize the difference between genuine affection and manipulation. Trust is a precious gift that must be earned, not blindly given, and the darkness that can lurk beneath a charming facade can bring ruin not only to ourselves but to those we hold dear. Ultimately, we must confront the truth, however painful it, to protect our hearts and our communities from the shadows that threaten to engulf us. Only by facing our fears and the reality of our relationships can we hope to emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges.